Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host, Red. We have a video today from AntonDaniels.
About a year ago, I posted a video saying women who marry for money are corny. I got fried on the internet. However, like many great philosophers, I think my ethos was just a touch too early for the times. I do think the internet is now ready to hear my side. However, instead of saying women who marry for money are corny, I'm going to say women who aspire to marry for money are delusional. And I'll point out three main delusions. I know this from lived experience. I went to one of those fancy New England prep schools. I went to a top 12 school. I had interned in banking.
Damn. Girl comes from wealth.
A lot of my friends work in banking. I've worked in tech. I've worked in finance. Blah, 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 blah. I know that world. So I can tell you.
I somewhat know the world. I'm adjacent to it. I know quite a bit of people who live in that world. I do not belong.
From lived experience. So delusion number one is who these men are actually choosing. I think what made this discourse so exciting in the beginning is it made women believe that a man is going to pluck you from obscurity, from the town that you hate, from the job that you hate, and he can fundamentally change your life.
Yeah, the Disney fairy tale. I'm just a stepdaughter washing the floor and doing this, and the Prince Charming is just gonna come and whisk me away.
When in reality, these men have a very specific pool of women that they're selecting when they're thinking about partnership. They're selecting women from the business school that they went to, the undergrad that they went to, the pre-professional programs that they are part of, the members-only clubs that they are part of, where they summered over the vacation, family, friends, or maybe through friends of friends. Like maybe he's having a housewarming in his apartment loft in Tribeca and his best friend brings a homegirl and that's how he meets. But it's all through very proximate and concentric circles. And that's
100%. I tell you guys about my family, right? And how my family marries. We do not marry really outside of the outside world in a sense. None of my cousins are out there dating and looking for women in America. No, they get picked. They get chosen through the network of Cambodian donut shops and, temples and things like that. My aunts, my dad vet pedigree very harshly. Very, very harshly. If you come from a family that has horrible background, you have family members that are in jail, you have family members, you're a no. That's how much it matters to people of higher echelon or guess like different cultures and things like that. I'm not saying I'm at a high echelon or something. I'm just saying how my family operates is very similar to how very wealthy people operate. Is within ourselves and within the communities that we are fully attached to that understand us, right? It's not that, all of a sudden they're just going to marry outside. It's very hard. I have a cousin that married a white woman outside of the family, but that's probably my only cousin that married a white woman outside of the family. Everybody else married a Cambodian woman that my family came together and chose.
Let's say you do get lucky and maybe you connect on Raya or a night out. The second he brings you around friends or the partner at the law firm and you can't talk comfortably about certain things that only people who grew up talking about those things can do, it's a wrap. The second delusion is what the experience of dating this person is actually like. Social media has made it seem like it is countless shopping trips and Chanel bags. The reality is, whether you're dating someone who inherited wealth, who is creating their own wealth, athlete, entertainer, they're always traveling, they're always on the road, they're always working.
True.
Pretty much everything that she said is spot on. 100% spot on.
The whole, once they take you there, and then you don't fit in, you will realize very quickly. That's why I say I don't fit in. Like, I do not qualify for those circles. Even if I'm barely starting to hit my stride and making my own money and things like that, I don't come from old money. I don't come from the wealth level that these people come from, and they don't really accept me. And I kind of understand why they don't, right? And of course, it's a class war thing in a sense, but wealth wants to protect wealth. I can't hate on that.
I've went to private schools. I know people. I've been in those circles. My first time experiencing seeing some of the most obscene wealth is in eighth going into ninth grade and then being introduced and brought over to certain people's families' house. And I just have never seen a house that big from the inside ever in my life again. But the point that she's making is two things. Number one is based off of proximity. The same way that people that are living regular everyday lives, probably a little bit more like the 90s and the 2000s,
That makes sense.
marry and then have associations based off of proximity, is the same way that people that's up at the top, it's all based off of proximity.
It makes sense. The wealthy people up the top aren't on their phones chronically, aren't on the internet chronically because they're so busy. So what are they gonna do? They're just gonna date and see the people that are around them, that are doing very similar things to them, that are within similar, class to them. We say it all the time that women want to marry up, but when you look at demographically, most people marry within their own demographic. Most people, college educated people, marry college educated people. It's just kind of how it is. Wealthy people seem to gravitate towards wealthy people. Very few wealthy people are willing to come to the slums and pluck someone out, like she said earlier.
It's like crime. And the second thing is, you have to be able to speak the language.
I cannot.
If you just think of it like a hood rat coming into a country club.
No, I felt like a country bumpkin listening to, I like the Magic Castle. I actually go to the Magic Castle as often as I can. I have a magician friend that sends me invitations. I feel so out of place when I go to the Magic Castle. I like magic, but when I go there and I listen to the conversation of some of the gentlemen that are there that are having conversations, I don't belong. I really don't. The things that they're talking about, the echelon of money that they're speaking of, the lifestyle, I almost can't even comprehend because I am nowhere close to that.
If you can't speak the language, if you can't relate, if you can't communicate effectively, if you can't be brought around certain friends and things like that and live the life, then you are 100% not going to be able to fit in. And then some people think that because all of this is theory, right? A lot of people speak off of theory, but really what it comes down to is that nobody is going to go into McDonald's, see you at the drive-through line, or go into the whole pretty woman thing and then take a prostitute off of the street and then make them theirs.
Yes, if you're just talking about regular men, like maybe 100K earner men's. But if you're talking about obscene wealth, the amount of wealth that these women are obviously talking about all the time, millionaires, people that earn 500K, 600, 700K, yeah, they're out of the league.
That's not how it works, bro. Even me, right? I see and meet people all the time. And, you'll be surprised. It gets to a point to where you get to certain levels and you see women shooting their shot, right? And it don't matter who is
True.
2 or 4. We're not going to get into that. But women shoot their shot all the time.
Did it?
And the conversations that's even being had amongst people are, man, I don't know about that. Or, man, she just a bust down. Or, man, she just, she going to be, a fling or whatever. And you might even, connect for a second or date them or go on a date or get buzzed down or something like that. But that does not mean that translates into you getting married. Now, you are much more likely to be able to get into certain circles when it comes to athletes, right? Because especially NBA players, rappers are broke, R&B artists are broke, obviously.
I never thought rappers were rich. I always thought the rap game was a very hard game to make a lot of money in. And there's a lot of rappers, but I don't think very many of them make money.
See, we're not talking about the top to the top. But most of them is broke. Athletes gonna run out of money in no time because they don't know how to manage their finances effectively. They just know how to dribble and dunk. Most of them, because overwhelmingly they are not on the level of Steph Curry, LeBron James, Jaylen Brown. They don't make that type of money, right? But let's just say, for example, you do get connected with an athlete. First of all, it doesn't mean that he's gonna spend money on you. And secondly, dudes with means, and it don't matter if you're an athlete or if you're a tech worker or venture capitalist or whatever you want to talk about, lawyer, high-end lawyer, work all all the time. It's 98% work, 2% leisure. Even when you are on.
He's not wrong, guys. There was a comment like quite a few months back that said, dude, why are you lying? Why are you always saying that you're doing so much? Like, you don't even have that much time a day. You already make me good money. Like, why are you trying to relate to everybody? Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm literally have a cannabis business. I do this. I have a finance office that I operate out of and meet clients almost every day. And I'm closing up escrow on the donut shop. Yeah, there's a lot of things to do, and I just try to find ways to do them. Do I have that much leisure time? I actually do, right? Because of YouTube and because finance is a lot more flexible. I chose things that are very flexible other than the donut shop itself. Is probably the least flexible thing. But I went on a vacation just for a few days just because everything else was quite flexible for me. But majority of the time, yeah, 98% of the time, I'm working, thinking of something, reading comments, doing all these things, just constantly doing something. And I get the hustle culture and the hustle life sucks, but I also don't know anything else. I think this is the best life I got that I can get myself and work towards. At least I have the power to control this in a sense.
On a vacation or you taking care of business, you on 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And so she's pretty accurate in her assessment of this whole situation. A lot of women think that they're going to get into a relationship with a very, very, very high-end man, and then that's going to translate into her just living a fairy tale life. And so you better get used to not seeing the person as much, or being around a person that don't necessarily have the capacity to spend a whole lot of time with you, even if you do get.
And even then, if we have time to spend, our brains are fried. Can you just be peace? That's the other side of it, right? We were out there battling 98% of the time. The time we do have and want to spend with you, can you just not provide me more work and headache?
Picked. Or you could just be a regular person and marry a regular person.
True.
Like you are, and stop trying to shoot for the billionaire or the millionaire. That's not necessarily even your life. You even gotta be the thing that you're looking to attract, and that's the thing that she pretty much saying in the beginning of this video. And I don't think that most women really understand that.
Zero time to pay attention to you. It is an extremely lonely relationship. Essentially, you are effectively single with some moments of partnership. Their priority is and will continue to be work. Also, the sort of like attention-seeking behavior that you could get away with someone who wasn't as focused on their career cannot happen. You need to have a robust, full life, a job that you love, friends and family, for you to even feel fulfilled in a relationship like that. Because if you're looking for your partner to spend a lot of time and attention on you, it's just not going to happen. I also don't even know where the notion that these finance tech bros are out here spending money and buying Chanel bags. They must have the best PR on the planet. They work for their money. They are some of the cheapest people you will ever meet. And I don't even mean that in a...
It is so true. I was like, I know a lot of tech bros. They're Asian dudes. And I know a lot of Asian dudes are super frugal. Most of my family is super frugal. So yeah, even tech bros, like, which is still somewhat of my family. I have a few family members that are tech bros. They're frugal still, even if they make good money. Like, it doesn't matter. They were raised to be frugal. That's how they got rich in the first place.
Pejorative sense. But I mean that in like, when you have to earn your, like, spend 15 hours at a desk in order to earn your money, you are not going to spend that on a Chanel bag on a girl that you met 2 weeks ago. And I think that's another thing. I think a lot of people conflate the experiences that they might have with like athletes and entertainers with people who work in corporate tech finance. It's not the same.
It's not.
And the third delusion is I think a lot of people grossly overestimate how much money you will get in alimony or child support. So women, I am telling you this from insider experience. The easiest and less painful way to become a millionaire and have that soft life is to do it yourself.
I hear the JFK show has activated a delusion in the feminine psyche, which is the delusion that a rich man, a very rich man, is going to come and pluck you from obscurity. Now, first of all, this needs to be said right off the bat. On the off chance that this happens to you, you're not getting JFK Jr., you're getting Hunter Biden, you're getting Elon Musk. You're not actually getting them, but that's the energy that you're getting. The goods will be kind of odd. And all of these femininity coaches giving the same generic advice. Oh, go and sit and work in a hotel lobby. Ma'am, if you do that, not only will the rich men know, all of the women at the hotel will know, the staff will know, everyone knows. And if you can't understand nuance, I'm not saying that if you love a beautiful lobby like the Santa Monica proper and you're an architect and you like to go sit there and answer emails, that's not giving the same energy as this. Like, you're there to work.
Damn. She is so right. The people in the higher echelons of life pay attention, especially the staff. They know what you're there for.
They're there to work. And everybody knows. I lived in a resort town. I lived in Ojai. There's not a lot to do there. So on the weekends, sometimes you go to Santa Barbara and have lunch at the Rosewood Miramar. Very nice hotel, by the way. And immediately upon walking in, when there were women there doing that, you can tell from their outfit. The outfit alone will give it away.
100%.
Rich people dress very differently from how women who are trying to appear like that dress. It's a bad pantomime of wealth.
Damn. A bad pantomime of wealth. Woo!
And the people who I do know who were kind of plucked from obscurity by the weird, eccentric billionaire, let me just tell you, they are paying for it by the energy they have to deal with, you know, whether that's like they're with a man who regularly gets them kicked out of hotels because he smokes in the hotel room, or the man is expected to be allowed to have multiple sexual partners and you don't get to ask any questions.
True.
If it's a Nepo situation, you're dealing with a really weird, psychotic family dynamic. And
Hunter Biden, she basically saying and giving a different perspective, but she's basically saying a similar thing in that you just don't fit in.
You don't.
And you would try hard. And people can easily see when you would try. Listen, bro.
I admit it. I've done these things. I've tried to go to nicer places to meet men, to meet people, like to network. Because again, I do finance, so I'm trying to broaden my network to higher net worth individuals. It's quite easy. I mean, it's quite easy to tell that I'm there for that, right? That I don't really fully belong. So I stopped it. Now I just slowly make friends. I slowly make friends with certain people, and then they slowly introduce me to the country club life. They slowly introduce me to the higher echelon type people through cocktail parties and things like that. Before, yeah, I was trying to go to certain places to try to fit in, to try to meet people, to try to like, oh yeah, like this is where, you know, I'm at Pelican Hill. This is where super wealthy people come. You know, to get a freaking night here is $1,500 a night. I didn't get that night, obviously. I just went there to the bar and had dinner there. But yeah, those places, it's very apparent that you don't belong, especially when you don't belong.
Bro, when you go to these spaces, when you go to these country clubs, you go to these hotels, you go in these places, I will tell you this, that most of the people already are familiar with who is who.
True.
Like
100%. When I go to the country club, they already know I am not a member. There's not all of the staff knows I'm not a member because they know all the members, right? And they know I am James's friend. They know whose friend I am, who's the member that brought me in. They know all these things.
If you even stay in a certain building that has a concierge and you have a good relationship with the concierge and the valet, they will tell you everything that goes on, who comes in, who comes out, who's new, who's who, and who's, you see what I'm saying? Like, everybody kind of is familiar because you are in the know, and if you're not in the know, then you're not anybody to know, if that makes sense.
So
and
true.
I'm not saying this to discourage you, but I'm just saying this to say, be you, be authentically you, and stop trying to pass yourself off as somebody that needs to be saved because you're just desperate. And we don't like, let me rephrase that. People don't like desperate people because you seem thirsty. That's what I'm translating all of this to mean, is that you just seem thirsty.
Probably a lot of enmeshment. You're not giving Amal Clooney, okay? You're giving like Fashion Nova ambassador.
Jesus.
And the one thing money can't actually buy is love. To get love, you don't seek love. You have to remove all of the obstacles that prevent you from being love, from being in that vibration. And that vibration is fear-based, scarcity-based. So when you operate from that vibration, that is inevitably what you will attract. Also, the idea that this is like high value dating, and it's sort of coded in the same way as like presenting very aloof, pretending to be busy, being dismissive, pretending to be unavailable. All of these things, those are what is desperate. This is what actually prevents you from meeting someone who is high quality. Because to meet someone who's high quality, you want to be as polarizing as possible so that you weed people out like right off the bat and you don't throw away
I 100% agree, because that's how I am. I'm polarizing off the bat. If I don't like you, that's okay. We can move on.
huge chunks of time talking to someone who is unserious, who doesn't match your energy, and who isn't invested in building something. You don't weed these people out by pretending and playing a character. I implore you to think about wealth building on your own terms. That will then put you in the space where you might meet people who are also invested in building and showing up with this attitude of money above all else, by the way, is a repulsive energy to men. It's the same thing as men who are very, very unattractive physically and don't take care of themselves, and they drink too much and they haven't seen their toes in the shower in 7 years, showing up and feeling like they get to demand access to the most beautiful woman in the room.
Yep. 100%.
100% true. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap me.
Yeah, my bad. I had a lot to say in this video. Just, I've lived that life. I've tried to live the life. I've tried to, fake it till I make it kind of thing, to put myself into higher echelon circles. And it's not easy. They know. They know. And so it's even harder for women to want to go out there because the way they dress. Yeah, decently wealthy people, wealthy women, don't dress provocatively. They dress very modestly. This is why modern women just can't seem to understand that you don't belong. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. And catch you guys next time. Ciao.